If you would like to learn specific ways to do grounding or just different ways that you can do grounding, just subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting a few different shorts just shortly explaining how you can go about grounding, and also just different ways that you can do grounding depending on your situation, depending on what you have around you, and depending on your environment. There's different ways that you can go about grounding, and also just different ways that grounding can benefit you in your daily life. What's up, buddies? Today I'm going to teach you all about grounding and different ways that you can go about grounding and just the very basic ins and outs of grounding. Now, this video is going to be for beginner witches, but any witch can really practice grounding. And I also believe that all witches should be practicing grounding regardless of what you specialize in or what you're trying to do. Grounding can really help you in your practice from not only doing simple things, but also if you're doing anything that's more extensive. Grounding is something that you can always do and always incorporate into your practice. What is grounding? Now, grounding in a nutshell is the practice of centering yourself either with nature or any sort of type of ritual that you would like to do. Most of the time, if you hear about grounding, it is referring to someone that is walking barefoot on either the ground or any sort of soil, or going through the water and doing any sort of meditation in the water. Just doing something that is in nature to center yourself and also to clear your mind. This is also sort of incorporated with meditation. It's not necessarily the same thing, but meditation is also the practice of just centering yourself and just freeing yourself of any energies that either aren't helping you or any excess energies. So maybe if you're in a major depressive episode, then you can do some grounding to help alleviate some of that depression. Or if you're feeling anxious and maybe you have a excess of energy, grounding will just help to alleviate some of that and just ground yourself out and sort of even out your energies. This can also be done multiple different ways, but grounding is the practice of just centering yourself and also just connecting yourself with nature. Most witches should be practicing grounding on a regular basis, and also witches have multiple different ways of grounding, but grounding in a nutshell is just that. How to ground for beginner witches. Now, the main three ways that most witches will do any sort of grounding is either doing any sort of barefoot walking, which I've done a video about that in the past. It's basically going out into nature either by some water, by a nice view, or just out in nature some way that you can. Even if you're in a city, you can do this, but just going out in nature barefoot. Make sure you look wherever you're walking, and if you're actually going to be walking, make sure you don't step on anything because people leave trash. But if you are going to be doing any sort of barefoot walking, make sure it's out in nature, and if you would like to, you can also have music playing or just have anything that's on you that helps you get into the right frame of mind while you're doing your barefoot walking. This will just help your grounding and also just help you to just center yourself in your emotions. The second way that most witches will do any sort of grounding is to do a visualization. Now, this is usually for if you're doing any sort of meditation where either you're not in nature necessarily, or if you're just somewhere where you're in a peaceful space but maybe not out in nature, you can just visualize yourself in nature or just visualize yourself in a peaceful place, whatever that is for you. Visualizing is a very good technique to learn regardless of where you are. Actually, even if you are able to go out in nature, visualizing yourself will just help in your practice and also just help in your grounding. The third way you can go about grounding is doing any sort of breathing techniques or exercises. This is mainly for if you're having a breakdown or maybe you're having a mental crisis and you want to calm yourself down in an instant. Doing any sort of specific breathing exercises can help you in your grounding and also just help center yourself throughout whatever you're trying to do. Or maybe if you have too many things mentally going on, doing any sort of breathing exercises will help you to just lower down your blood will just help you to lower down your blood fucking why do I keep saying blurred would just help you to lower down your blood pressure and also just help alleviate some of that stress and anxiety whenever you are going through any sort of panic attack or something like that. But just as a recap, the purpose of grounding is to center yourself and also just to expel any sort of negative or any sort of excess energies that you have built up and just sort of balance yourself out throughout your practice. This is a good idea to do this before your practice and also after, if maybe you're doing something that requires a lot of emotional energy or a lot of mental energy. It's a good idea to do any sort of grounding to, if you're at a negative point and you want to raise yourself back up to a balanced neutral, this is a good thing to do after your spell, or if you're doing it beforehand, this is a good idea to just center yourself, and maybe if you're too high of energy or you're too low, this just get you at a nice even point of energy that you can work. a nice even point of energy that you can work on in your practice. And also, if you would like to, you can use grounding as just a sort of self-care type of activity. Grounding does not need to be a thing that you focus on or something that you're trying to accomplish. Grounding can just be a form of self-care that you use to center yourself and just use to just chill yourself out. If you'd like to know more about witchcraft or witchcraft related content, just subscribe to my channel. If you would like to know anything else about witchcraft, just leave it in the comments below and I'll make a video all about that. Have a good day, night, life, enjoy yourself, and be happy.